Now on BBC2, slightly later than planned, George Romero reveals the impulse behind the chiller Dawn of the Dead.
I had made Night of the Living Dead back in 1968, and I really didn't want to return to it, even though the story for Night of the Living Dead I wrote as a short story, and it had 3 parts. 90% of the story was the first part, which became Night of the Living Dead. Then there were a couple of pages, which was the second part, where this really had become a worldwide phenomenon, and people were the vanishing society.
Imagine, if you will, that something has gone terribly wrong. Dawn of the Dead.
And then the very last part of the story was just one short paragraph long, where the zombies had taken over.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
And so I started to think about an 80s update, and then I suddenly got the conceit about, boy, it would be nice to do one of these, every decade and try to reflect the differences in the, not only texturally on the surface of the film, but the differences in the head of the people. Pittsburgh is a mall city, the northeast, southwest, each suburb has a huge shopping mall like that. Right then it was just really the beginning of that mall culture where you went there and you hung out all day. My impression walking through there, going through this sort of ritualistic, unnatural, consuming experience was that we really do become zombies in here, and the way the music was just, that lulling kind of. Everything about it was just so, I don't know, kind of hypnotic. It seemed like there was almost nothing real there, unless somebody slapped their kid or had an argument or, didn't like the pizza. There were little moments of humanity, but most of the time it's just sort of riding along on, it's like the little characters in the Disney, the little Small World ride, you're just going through it and characters are there being exactly what they're supposed to be. It just said, wow, this is exactly where it should be. So I wrote a script, and I don't think I would have ever gotten it made because it was brutal, and it was also very garish and silly in places, and with obvious dialogue. I mean, it was sort of the Bee Gees meet Night of the Living Dead or something. It was. I was trying to go for that sort of 80s, all I want to do is keep on dancing attitude. I don't think anyone would have gotten it, except Dario Argento approached us, Italian director, and we showed him the script, and he said, I'll be the first money in on this one. I mean, basically, he caused the movie to happen.
Come on! Run, 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 run! Come on! All right, all right, all right!
A theme that I've always used is just this idea that we don't talk to each other. I mean, this complete lack of communication that we have, and a willingness to adopt a position.
People aren't willing to accept your solutions, Doctor, and I, for one, don't blame them.
Every dead body that is not exterminated becomes one of them. It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill.
This sort of tribalism, or, I think it's white, I think it's black, and there's no attempt to try to figure out, any sort of middle ground or build a bridge. I mean, that's true in everything from religious wars to the O.J. Simpson case.
I'm not so sure what to believe, Doctor. All we get is what you people tell us. And it's hard enough to believe.
It's fact. It's fact.
It's hard enough to believe without you coming in here and...
You're not running a talk show here, Mr. Berman. You can forget pitching an audience the moral bullshit.
To me, that is the most appalling thing about what we do to each other. And so it's a theme that I've worked with, particularly in the zombie films. I think if people start shooting at you, then sure, you're all going to shoot back at the same common enemy. But in a situation where anything is ambiguous, I think there's going to be, at the very least, arguing, and perhaps at the worst, people murdering each other for their point of view.
Peter, my God, what are you doing?
Scary, isn't it?
Until the shooting starts, there is no common enemy. And I think that in trying to decide who the enemy is, or if there is an enemy, that's where we just need to talk and figure out what our strategy is going to be.
Let him know we're here.
Come on, let's go over here.
You did all right this time, Fly Boy. How about it?
Really, I was trying to do it like a comic book kind of visual. The blood is, very red, bright red, flowering out behind somebody's head. What we were going for was just this garish kind of EC comic book kind of a look. None of that stuff was particularly threatening. The repetition of the violence, zombies get shot every few minutes in the action parts of the film, and you sort of get immune or inured to it. Again, that was part of what we were seeing in the 80s, about us just getting so desensitized by the things that we were seeing on television. And, show the military and the hunters and all that, just enjoying it, and as that being an outgrowth of, we got ourselves a new shooting gallery here.
Behind you!
And also it worked to sort of ramp you up toward the really grisly scenes in the end, when we become just pieces of meat there at that point. And then the people upstairs in those quarters, it's sort of what we do. We live somewhere over here while all this, violence and the world's exploding. If I ever do another one, if I ever do the 2000 one, I think that's what it'll be like. Maybe humanity will have come back. There'll be security guards and the zombies are out in the street, sort of like the homeless. But will we care? As long as we get, there's a valet to bring the car and we can get out of there and not really have to deal with it.